What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Slow Restoration, and we are under the Bruce. A very weird way to start the video, but we do have to get this cover off the 14 bolt. I'm anxious to see how it looks inside, and we do have to change these gears. Right now it has 410 gears in it. We need to match our new front axle, which is 538 gears that we learned. But looking at this is the vent tube. And obviously it's full of dirt. I'm sure it's got water in it. So let's go ahead and pop this cover off, see how it looks inside, and we'll go from there. Yeah, it's not quite as bad. Let's get the vent so this thing actually drains. It had plenty of fluid in it, which is a good thing, but it definitely is milky. Kind of expected that with that vent being like that and knowing where this thing was driven. So let's let that drain. We'll get that cover the rest of the way off, and we will be back in a minute. Pretty much drained here, so we're going to go ahead and pull the cover the rest of the way off. We're going to learn a couple things once we get inside here. Obviously, one is the condition of the internals. We are changing the gear set, so that's not that big of a concern. But some of these 14 bolts did have, they call it a G80 gov lock, and if it does have that, then well, it has a locker from the factory. I don't think it has that, but if it does, we will not be able to use our mini spool. So once we get this off, we'll be able to determine that and be able to make a decision from there. We do have to change the gear set, like I said, anyway, so it's all got to come apart anyway. So let's go ahead and get the cover off and see how it looks inside. And we are inside, and as you can see, that stuff is very nasty. Definitely had some water in there. Not quite as bad as I expected it to be, but it's definitely sludged up. Everything actually doesn't look horrible inside. No big chips or anything like that on the gear set. A little bit of surface rust, but again, we're changing the ring and pinion anyway. One thing I did notice right off, it does have some clutch packs, as you can see there. So I think this is a G80 gov lock or a factory limited slip. They did make some odd part differentials in some of these. I don't know what year this axle is, so but chances are it is a G80 gov lock. Sometimes they do break, the gov lock part breaks. We won't know until we disassemble it. And it is a chance that the clutch packs are just wore out also. One thing we do know is this did not always spin posi in the back, so there is an issue. We just got to figure out what it is and make a decision which way we're going to go as we put the gear set back together. One thing that is very nice about working on this, we're not on the lift, we're not even jacked up. This side is jacked up a little bit just so we could spin the tire, but it's literally like a ½ inch off the ground, and we're very comfortable under this thing because it's huge. Alright, so we also went ahead and pulled the front drive shaft out because this thing is in 4-wheel drive, and because it's electronic shift, we don't have any way to disable that. So with the front drive shaft, or the back drive shaft out rather, and this tire jacked up, obviously we can spin that, and it spins the ring and pinion around. So as I told you before, there's always numbers on the gear set here, and this is a GM gear set. It's got a part number, and then it says 1145, and you take 45 and divide by 11, you get a 4.9 and a bunch of decimal points after that. So it is a 410 gear ratio, which we thought it was, and it definitely needs change because that does not work with 44-inch tall tires very, very good. So but now we can actually spin this around and get a little bit better look inside. And again, everything looks pretty decent. We do have a rock in the rim floating around. I can see it as we spin it. But regardless, it all has to come apart for that gear set to be changed. So as you can see, guys, we are making some slight progress on the Bruce here, which isn't going to be the Bruce here soon. It probably always will be because that kind of just sticks. But definitely some big changes to the looks of this thing very soon. But let's focus on getting the mechanical end of this thing done and actually making it functional again. And that leads me to my next big point and my next big question. We need to make a decision about the cam we put in this thing. We'll get out into the light here a little bit. So this decision is going to be your guys' decision. It is getting a Texas Speed cam. We do have that LQ9 6-liter that's going in this thing, and that 4L65E out of the Escalade that we parted out. So like I said, the next decision is going to be yours. Go ahead and decide. I'll put some cam choices up. We have a bunch of cams. We have anything from pretty mild to pretty wild. So we do have a MS4, so Texas Speed Magic Stick 4. It's a pretty rowdy cam. Definitely has some good sound to it. May not perform its absolute best in something this heavy and tire size. But let's be honest, this thing, again, isn't built for anything specific. It's more of a attention getter, and it needs to sound the part as well as look the part. We'll see how it performs as far as slinging mud and stuff. It's not going to be a trail rig. I know some guys want to see it run through the trails. It's just not that type of vehicle. It's not set up at all. It's leaf sprung. And obviously you can make this type of video trail capable. This one is not set up, and it's just too big. I mean, the track width on this thing is absolutely massive. So it's not going to be a trail rig. Mud truck, it's going to need some really big power to spin these 44s. And again, I think we're just going to make it kind of continue the build, make it do a few things. It's definitely going to be an attention getter. You can't walk past this thing and not look at it, at least do a double take. Even if you hate cars in general, you got to look at this thing. So regardless, let me get some cam choices up for you. We'll give you a little sneak peek also of the kind of refresh of the Bruce here. There you go. We got the cover paint. We are going to repaint that bar also, and the crossover bar is already painted, but that's going to look killer. All right, guys, we're in my storehouse here a little bit, and here's the collection of cams that we have. So here's probably the mildest one we have. This is Texas Speed 228 232 600 lift on a 112. I mean, if you guys want that, I'll put that in, but that's not my first choice. The next one we have here is this is the Torker V4. It's a 231, 234, 629, and I can't read the rest of it, but if I remember right, it's a 600 lift on the exhaust. But that's a decent cam. That'll definitely sound good. On to the next one we have. Here's the Magic Stick 4. So this is actually the biggest cam we have, and this is a pretty rowdy cam. I forget the exact specs, but it's in the high 230s to 240 duration, in that neighborhood. That's personally what I'm leaning towards. Either the Torker or that one. We do have a couple more here, and this one again is a pretty healthy cam. It's a 233, 239, 600 lift on the intake end exhaust. And it's also on a 112. Very similar cam that we put in the C10 we're working on. And this is pretty much the same cam. It's a 233, 239, but it's on a 110. So if I did this cam, I would, in this particular application, I would use the 110. So we have that one. We have the Magic Stick 4, and we have the Torker V4. And then we have the smaller cam, the 228, 232, 600 lift. So that is our cam options. Please let me know which one you want, and I'll put whichever one the majority of the people want, I'll put in it. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be the more rowdy cam. I mean, that's what I would pick. Again, it's not this build is a little bit more for just attention. I mean, obviously Bruce is big, it's very different. You want it to sound pretty mean. Oh, and I did forget, so to go with that cam and make it all work, we did order a Yank torque converter. It's I'm not sure if it's going to come in a 3600 or a 3800 stall, but it's right in that neighborhood. So the Magic Stick 4, they probably recommend a little bit more stall for that, but it'll definitely work. And any of these other cams, that stall will work good with that. So that's really all we're going to do to the motor. Obviously, we'll have a set of headers on it. We're going to have one of these cams right here in it, and the corresponding valve springs and push rods will go along with it too. And it'll be a very healthy combination for that. Not like, you know, it's not going to be turbo 1,000 horsepower, but it'll be a stout setup. It should sound really killer. Definitely let me know which cam you guys want to see in there, though. And I want your suggestions. I want your opinion. We have them in stock. All we got to do is pull the front of the motor off and slide one of these cams in. So again, with those 538 gears that we're putting in it, the 3800 stall, the LQ9 with one of these cams, it's going to be a handful. So we're ready to make the Bruce great again. So you guys let me know. We'll make it happen. Let's make the Bruce something. Let's make the performance of the Bruce something to match the looks of the Bruce. Just kind of out there, over the top. Let's do it.